Hi there, thank you so much for clicking the thumbnail and being interested in my work. In this video, part 1 of my tiger pastel painting, I discuss how I create the outline and the underdrawing. Be sure to watch it right through till the end, because here and there I'll be slowing things down in real time so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. Right, this is an A4 size painting, which is 210 by 297 centimeters. Now it's a standard A4 English size, so if you get a sheet of sort of fax paper and then fold it into quarters, then you've actually got that center point then on the corner there. So that's what I'm checking here, and just putting a center point in, and that's where I start from when I do freehand drawing. From that center point, I'm using imaginary angles to find the location of other points within the drawing. So it's a case really of using that center point. It's like a center of a clock, and then you imagine all the different angles from that center. I'm using a 708 Pastel pencil, which is a brilliant pencil because it's the same sort of colour of the pastel matte board I use, which is dark grey. Now just very loosely holding the pencil quite a distance away from the point, which would help to keep everything nice and relaxed. With this painting I've just shown you another way you can actually do the outline. It's called the cross-reference technique, which I've got a video out in my channel if you want to check that out after you've seen this video. And it gives you 3 ways how to draw the outline: the cross-reference image, the freehand, and also the grid method. So if you want to check that out, which will go into quite a lot of detail, what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description below for you. Just to quickly mention it here, it's just a case of actually scaling your reference image to exactly the same size as your image you're working on, and then you've got rules on the actual vertical plane and the horizontal plane on the reference image in inches or centimeters, whichever you prefer. And then when you move a cursor on a certain point, it sort of creates a dashed line, and it gives you a measurement on whereabouts it is on the ruler, and that's how you get your cross reference. So that's just very quickly describing how to do it. I found the best approach is to just put the odd mark here and there, reference mark, and then use more freehand. So it's a good way of actually teaching you to see the shapes. So you just put a little point and then freehand, a little bit more freehand. You have to be careful with this method though, because it becomes a crutch and then you're frightened to do freehand. You're wanting to put more and more marks in. So as soon as you can let go of it, the better really. The freedom you feel when you do freehand outline far outweighs anything of the other methods, I feel, because you're connecting to the energy straight away, because you're actually feeling and sensing what feels right. So when you do it as a freehand drawing, you get a feeling when a certain area doesn't feel right, and then you pay attention to that area until it does feel right. So you're working on feelings rather than thinking. But when you start using rulers and grids and things like that, it becomes more of a thinking thing rather than a feeling thing. That's why I prefer freehand. But if you're a beginner, you might find freehand quite daunting and hard to do. So that's why I've just shown you this quick method of just doing cross references, and it really does help you to learn to see the shapes. Now I'm using a Faber-Castell kneadable eraser to actually mould the shape, so I can loosely put a mark in and then rub it out to make a sharper mark, and use it as a way of sculpturing the actual outline. Now the key thing as well is to keep your reference image as small as possible so you can see the whole thing, because what I tend to do is switch on, even at this stage, to the energy and whatever I'm doing. So in this instance I'm connecting to the power of this tiger, the sort of elegance of it, sort of the mystical feel it's got. All these sort of things that you need to connect to. If you just relax, open the heart, let go of the mind, and really open up to the actual image, send this feeling to the image, this open heart feeling, and then what you'll get back then is more energy. You'll see the colours more, everything will sort of seem more alive, and then this can be actually transmitted through your body, out of your hands, into your painting. If you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Another tip is to actually look into the reflection of a mirror, because you see in the drawing obviously there's a flipped image. Now, I've mentioned this tip a lot in my videos, but keep looking in a mirror. It does really help to pinpoint areas that need working on. Just helps you to see it from a different angle. For the underdrawing, I'm selected these pencils here: Burnt Umber, Dark Ultramarine, Burnt Sienna, Yellow Ochre, Grey and White. Right, so first of all what I'm using is the dark grey, which is 708 Carbothello pencil, and I'm using white, so I'm reshaping the outline and creating a little bit of form. Now, what's great about using grey is if you go over grey, the colours don't muddy up. They'd just be a little bit desaturated, that's all, but you can always put more pigment in to make it more saturated. But the thing is, it's really great to actually keep your colours clean by getting the shape correct by just using the white and the grey. So that's what I'm doing here. So as soon as I'm happy with the position of the element, then what I'll do then is glaze over them with the yellow ochre or burnt sienna, or maybe a bit of ultramarine blue or brown. Also adding a bit of Carbothello black here as well. If I need to move that, I can always make that a grey again by adding a bit of white, and then I can put colours on top of it. So it's always easy thing to move around, but I'm putting the black in there just to get a little bit of form in there and an idea of the feeling as well. But this stage is all about getting the actual shapes right and the position correct. I'm not really concerned about getting the correct value or chroma. That is the next stage before the detail stage. So that'll be the next video, part 2. But here I'm just getting everything shaped up correctly as much as I can, and just putting a suggestion of the colour in there, and playing really, and just enjoying the freedom you've got, because you're not really worried about details, and all you're doing is being like really free with it and loose, and just getting that feeling of the tiger, plus getting the position of the elements right, and it makes it a lot more sort of enjoyable, because you're not concerned at all about values, edges and chroma and all the details at this stage. It's just fun just to move things around and play about. Just like to take this opportunity to thank all my patrons for their wonderful support every month. It really means the world to me, makes all the difference. If you're considering joining me on Patreon and would like the benefit of longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please check out the link in the description below. This tiger will be on there as a full painting from start to finish, where you can see every mark I make, so you could forward it to whichever part and see how I've done it and what colour pencils I've used. Now, it does take a while for my technique to develop. I do take my time with it. In fact, I don't even consider time at all. I just let it be, and it takes as long as it takes, because time can be like a bit of a poison really, because it can cause tension, and it can cause you to stress out if it's taking too long, and then you end up taking shortcuts, and then you don't do your best work as well. So best not to really consider time. Just don't let it be in your consciousness. Just be in the moment, here and now, and just let it develop, just let it happen, and just feel at one. See, when I'm painting and drawing, there's nothing on my mind at all. It's totally quiet, and all I'm doing is just connecting to the energy and feeling of what I'm doing, and just let that flow through me. I get insights that come up through awareness, but it's not thoughts. Thinking creates like a tunnel vision where you're just focused on one spot, and then you're not really aware of everything. But if you connect to awareness, you're aware of everything at once, so you can see the whole aura of this tiger while you're drawing and painting it. It's an amazing feeling, because you try and feel and become that animal, and you can sense, and all these feelings are flowing through you, and you just let that flow through you, out your hands, into your work. That's my sort of aspiration, is to bring my work alive by connecting to the energy and spirit of whatever I'm painting. So just to recap again, so you're just using your white and your grey to shape all these marks of the tiger. Just getting the shapes correct, just moving things around, being free with it, and just enjoying playing and just moving things. Once you're happy with the position of the grey, then you can add other colours. Now around the eye of the tiger there, I used the black, but I added brown and blue to the black to create more depth, because black on its own is very dead. Just slowing it down to real time now, just to illustrate what I've just mentioned. Once you're happy with the position, I'm going over now with the black and just putting it very lightly as well, not going too heavy with it, because you've got to keep that little bit of tooth for when you start putting the rich colours on, because I'll pile on the actual pigment on the next stage. So it's very loose, very lightly put on, and just putting it over that grey. And then I'm going over with blue in this instance, so I'm just mixing a bit of blue with the black to give it depth. Now reshaping the white now. You're putting the white down first, but then I'll glaze over the top, you see, because in that part there it's more of the sort of tan colour. So I'm going over with the burnt sienna and yellow ochre, but first I put the white down, because that white then will shine through. It's all preparation for when I do the next stage, because all these colours I'm putting down now will mix with my rich colours, and it creates the certain texture I'm looking for. So I'm aware of what needs to be done next. So it's just a case of putting it lighter, not too heavy with it. Just keep it nice and loose. And all these marks I'm making now will all come in handy when I start with the next stage, which you'll see in part 2. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? It will mean so much to me, as this will help the channel to grow. Getting a little conscious of the length of this video, so just going to speed things up a while now, but I will come in still with real time in certain areas I've not covered, so there's still quite a bit of real time to come through, so stick with it. Now for the nose here, I'm using a cold red, then yellow ochre, just to create a little bit of subtlety in there. Like I say, it's not the detailed stage or anything like that, it's just basically getting the shape of the nose and the feel of it. So just using different colours for this area. Now I'm constantly reshaping and redrawing as I'm going along, so I'm looking at the angles all the time, so I'm comparing one angle against the other, I'm looking in the mirror a lot as well, just to compare and just to see it from a different angle, and just enjoying the experience of, just like I've said before early on, just being relaxed and enjoying the moment and being free with it. It's a good way of actually teaching you to really be spontaneous and looser, because with looseness comes more expression sometimes. Just slowing this part down just to show you how I'm using the pencil on a vertical plane to find the alignment of certain areas. So you just use your pencil and measure one area against the other, so you see how it lines up, and then it gives you the idea then what placement to put these sort of subtleties, rather than getting the ruler out to measure every little bit. Just use the freehand method of just using that vertical plane. Another thing I always do as well is just let the instinct take over. So I could be working on one point at one particular moment, then all of a sudden I'll go to the other side of the drawing. It's something that'll catch my eye that needs attention, and I will do it there and then, because as you change one thing, the other thing seems to change, and that way you keep everything as a whole, and you're being aware of the whole thing, because you want that presence of that energy of that powerful tiger. So to get that expression is to be one with it and feel how it feels one part against the other, and it's getting that sort of feeling balance. Here's some more real time, just showing you how I'm doing this area here, where I'm not using the white first. I'm putting the colour straight on there because it's darker, it's more over the mid-tones. So I'm using the yellow ochre first, then putting the burnt sienna, so starting light then going darker, and then just laying some brown in here just for the shadow, the basic sort of underdrawing for the shadow area. Brown's really good, really. Brown and blue together creates natural shadows. Sometimes you use the complementary, but if that doesn't work, you have to add the blue and brown to create that depth of shadow. Just using the white here in the direction of where the fur is going, so just being sort of aware of that and just building up some mark making there, which will come in handy for the next coat, because I'll build up on that with the rich colours. Hope you've enjoyed part 1. Part 2 will be coming shortly, so be sure to watch out for that, where I'll complete the painting. Here's the painting at the correct angle, rather than being in perspective on the easel. If you'd like to see more of my work, here's some links that you might be interested in. Take care, and thank you so much for watching the video so far.